welcome back to the Chequered Show over on the Blue Podcast Network. This is the second episode, and I'm your host, Reese, and across me is Matt and Holly, who is now another host on the show. And yeah, I can't wait to get started with us three. First of all, how is it to now finally be in front of the camera, Chequered Show?
Yeah, good to be here. My name is Holly. I'm Holly. Yeah, and I do Formula One stuff over on social media. But yeah, it's good to be here doing this.
Where can people find your stuff? Tell them where to find
plug
it.
it. Plug it.
Am I about to plug? Mainly on TikTok. It's just Holly Gamble. Yeah, just speaking a load of waffle about Formula One as always.
That's what we did last week as well.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And maybe I'll fit right in.
Yeah. So we'll leave Holly's links in the description as well, so you can go and check her out.
Thanks, guys.
And all that good stuff. So first of all, so today we're going to do unpopular opinions, but there's been little news in the past week or so about Formula One. So we just talk about what's been going on. Obviously, the big news: Yuki has been promoted to Red Bull. Lawson back down to Visa Cash Up F1 One team.
So now he's going to start doing well then, and Yuki's going to be rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just keep switching them out every 2 races.
Yeah.
Do you think a big factor of this though is the fact that it's now Yuki's home race though? Because I think that must be a decently big factor.
I think that's part of it probably. I think with the whole thing, I think Honda have had their sort of say in it.
You think?
Because I've heard that I think they've paid Red Bull to have him in their seat. I've seen.
Wow.
Where so because I think at the start of the season, I think Honda were very much pushing for Tsunoda to go into the car.
I was surprised that Lawson got it in the first place. I thought Tsunoda was the obvious choice out of those drivers.
I kind of got it because I think Lawson, his adaptability when he first was just chucked straight into that avatar when he replaced Ricciardo, that was pretty impressive how he just kind of got straight onto it. So maybe that's how Red Bull saw it. But have they not seen it from the past when they've promoted drivers like very early, Gasly, Albon, and that's how that's kind of worked out. So I think that's maybe maybe that's just why. But I think Tsunoda was probably the obvious choice where he just had that experience. And
I mean, I think if a driver's going to go up against Verstappen, I think one of their big reasons was he's got that like level-headedness that they thought that Tsunoda didn't have.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can't look at year one Tsunoda, which I think a lot of people do.
He's been a lot better recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been amazing in the V-Carb compared, but we'll have to see how he performs. But I think it is a little bit unfair putting him in his home race. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because that car is obviously very difficult to drive as well. He won't have had any testing in that car probably. It's going to be his first time driving it in front of his home crowd. If it goes badly, it's not going to be nice for him.
It's like not the only just the ordinary pressure of just it's your home Grand Prix, but it's your home Grand Prix, your first race in Red Bull. And in a brand new
car that you've never tried.
Exactly, and it's going to be a challenge. Obviously, they've announced the new livery, didn't they? So they've got 4 cars that basically look the same. So basically,
I was going to say, because all the cars, the Red Bull cars are white now.
Yeah, so Tsunoda might actually be driving a V-Carb on the weekend. We actually don't know.
They could just lie.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. I don't think you can say definitely that he's going to do well because we've seen so many drivers.
I don't think he will. That's the thing.
Before you can't just.
He's a good driver, but I don't think he does well because I don't think anyone will do well in that second seat because it's such a hard car to drive. Yeah. I would rather be in the V-Carb.
Yeah.
Like even Max has said it's even though the car is, we were saying earlier, it's designed around him.
Yeah.
But he can't drive it either.
Even he's saying he's struggling, and I know he's very pro of keeping Lawson in that car because knowing the struggles of how the car handles.
Well, Lawson did just say that he was shocked that they'd been got rid of, which is a similar story to the past.
Yeah, which is very interesting. Where it's almost as if he just see you later.
Well, I mean, 2 races is like a record. That's mental.
Yeah,
and they're tracks that he's never driven at before.
Yeah,
so
give him a chance.
Like, how is he supposed to? Especially the conditions that we're in, Australia, and it's hard to then perform. I think as long as Tsunoda performs better than Lawson, he's
only
okay.
one. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So that's basically anywhere above 18th.
Yeah, but by the end of the season, we'll see Max in the Visa Cash App car because it'll be quicker.
yeah, maybe. Maybe you might put that request in. So, yeah, I think yeah, because who knows? We might have Isaac Hadjar in the car in 2 races time or something like that. That might happen. We just because obviously you can only have 4 drivers in the seat. That's the thing. If Yuki Tsunoda doesn't perform,
is that true? I didn't know that was a rule.
I think you can only allow like 4 drivers maximum in the season. So if Tsunoda doesn't perform well, do you put Lawson back into that car again? Do you go and get Hadjar and have the same problems again with bringing in a young, inexperienced driver?
Bring back Perez.
Yeah.
Bring back Perez. We'll get on to Perez. We might as well. He's going to come out recently in an interview with Formula One. They haven't recorded the interview. It's just like I think they just there's no recording.
They just wrote the quotes.
It's been a written interview.
Yeah, so I don't like that. But I was reading it up this morning. Fantastic, the light went off. I was reading up on it this morning, and he's basically was in praise of Red Bull, really, and Yuki Tsunoda. He hopes Tsunoda does as well. He knows quite a lot of people, obviously working there for 4 years. You're going to know people, you can have friends there. So he's very much wanting Red Bull to still do well. So it's interesting to see that, he's been replaced by Red Bull, but he's still very much in support of Yuki Tsunoda and hoping that he does well.
Yeah.
So, and he's also mentioning about potentially coming back.
He said he's got options, hasn't he?
2026, Cadillac, maybe. Obviously, they're coming in.
I'm going to say, because they'll need 2 new drivers, and they'll probably want to get 2 decently experienced drivers to try and have a good start.
Yeah. I think they, obviously with them, they want to go very American and stuff like that. Yeah. But you look at that, maybe like the American drivers that are around. Is
Not
there
many
any
good
that
ones.
could? I know you got. Is it Jack Crawford in Formula 2? Maybe him. There's been talks of Colton Herta over the last couple of years who drives over the IndyCar. Palou as well. There's so many drivers over IndyCar, whether they'll actually come over or not. But definitely they're going to want to have that sort of experienced driver. Perez has driven how many years? 12 years in Formula 1 odds and stuff.
He's a good driver to have in your team.
He brings a lot of moolah. So
especially when you go to Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think is it something like 60% of the merchandise is sold and it goes over to Mexico for Perez. Something insane like that.
That's
like
crazy.
He brings so much money, and that's why he's originally signed in the first place with Red Bull. When he was halfway through the season, he was announced signed because he brings so much money. So
that's
much,
why he was
so
kept on
much
for
money.
so long.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah.
I knew it was a lot, but
that's one of the reasons why they just held on to him for so long, because they could have. You see how cutthroat Red Bull are. They could have got rid of him the minute he wasn't performing. But that's a big chunk of money to lose.
Yeah.
I think he brings I think it's like 30 million or something plus like that, just through sponsors and like merchandise.
It's all about money.
It's always been about money and stuff. That's probably how you got. We were talking earlier about you get your opportunities in Formula One by the money that you have. Schumacher got his first opportunity because Mercedes paid 150 million.
You can't be an F1 without paying. That's the thing. Like,
No.
it's obviously you have to be good at driving to get into it, but unless you have the money to start by doing all the go-karting lessons and all of that, you can never get into it in the first place.
Because again, we were saying earlier as well that like there's probably someone out there who's probably better than Lewis Hamilton. There probably is, but they've just never been given the opportunity or even been shown karting in the first place. I might be the next Lewis Hamilton, but I'm sat here recording on the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't know. I was just never given the opportunity. So yeah, I said it's back just, and also having that team that you're attached to as well. Being a part of the Red Bull program, being a part of the Mercedes, being a part of Alpine, Ferrari as well.
Red Bull's the last program I would join now. I would never join that program.
Would you though? Because they've given so many drivers opportunities, pathways into Formula One, and now they've gone on.
But as soon as you get there, you're screwed, because if you're in the Red Bull setup, you're either going to drive in the sister team and not do as well because it's never been a championship winning car, or you're going to drive for Red Bull and be second fiddle to whoever their first driver is. Yeah. Unless you can find a way to become that first driver, you're never going to do well in the Red Bull setup. Yeah,
but I guess in terms of opportunities to actually drive in Formula One, they do offer the best opportunities. Look at Sainz, look at Albon, Gasly. They've all gone to different careers now, but they still offer the best opportunities, especially having a junior team. With Mercedes, they've had Ocon in the past. He's been part of their setup. Antonelli's now has got these opportunities.
I think I'd go to Mercedes out of all of them, though. I think they've got the most good cars on the grid.
I would still back. I think I would still join Red Bull just because of the opportunity and pathways into Formula One. Whether you actually get into the Red Bull seat and succeed, that's another question. But the opportunity to get into Formula One is the reason why I would personally join them. Ferrari to an extent as well, I'd say.
Well, they got Haas and
they've had Haas.
Have they still got stake or not?
I think that was not as much now. Obviously, when they're going over to Audi, that kind of it's going to be pushed under the right. Mick Schumacher's obviously been in Formula 1 with Haas as well. I'll probably say that's second, I would say, but I'd much rather be in the Red Bull just because purely opportunity wise, you know, like even, you know, I think Tsunoda as well, you know, if he doesn't produce at Red Bull, I think he still have opportunities to go elsewhere. You know, I mean, it's been talk with him going to even Aston Martin if Stroll wasn't going to continue on with that Honda connection even. So, yeah, I'd still join Red Bull in my opinion. So, yeah, have we got anything else to say? Any other little news?
I think
Or
there's
do we
any
go?
news.
Yeah, obviously we've got Suzuka. Well, when this is out,
Suzuka will have
it'll be
happened,
after
yeah.
Suzuka. So, yeah, but also, can we get into your predictions for Suzuka?
Okay.
So
right.
so see.
Wait, what do? We did first, second, third, 10th, and last.
10th,
Yeah.
last, and then pole position.
Okay.
So tell us, you know, you'll probably look like a clown afterwards because it's after the Grand Prix. So hopefully you can.
I don't know whether to play it safe or not.
Well,
or
that's what
whether
you
to-
did, isn't it? You put like Lando and Piastri
I
as
went
the top
Lando,
two.
Piastri, and Verstappen.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it. But then...
It's
But
boring.
no, but
Well, yeah, but you can't say that
No, I
Stroll's
know.
going to be on pole. It's just... But
you don't know. You don't know.
You never know.
Charles Leclerc on pole because he's not the worst driver on the grid, as Ethan Crane made me out to say. I never said that I didn't like Charles Leclerc. I love Charles Leclerc. So Ethan Crane, sort it out. He's on the audio and he said that on a TikTok.
He's been shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube apology video coming soon.
Yeah.
But I think for pole, right. Well, we were saying earlier that McLaren have they tend to do well in Japan, and so I don't know whether to just go and play it safe and say Piastri on pole, or whether I do Charles Leclerc on pole, because Charles Leclerc is a very good qualifier.
Yeah, he is.
As we know, I personally think he's one of the best qualifiers on the
I
grid.
think he's the best qualifier on the grid.
Yeah.
Currently, in my
But
opinion.
he is struggling a little bit in that car. But I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say Charles Leclerc on pole.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
a good shout.
Yeah, no.
But I
nice.
don't think he's going to do well in the race.
All right.
Or as
No.
well in the race. So that's when I think that maybe it will be Piastri, Norris, Hamilton, and maybe Leclerc will be 4.
Okay.
10th, I'm going to go... Let's go Gasly.
Gasly.
He's
yeah,
a strong
first
one.
points.
I can't even remember who I said last week.
I did the notes.
You said whoever the racing bull driver is, didn't you? So you
No,
so,
I said that.
Oh, was that you?
I said whoever.
So you're saying Lawson will be 10th.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. No, maybe not.
Well-
I'm not going to say Lawson. I don't think
No, I
he'll
think
be in the
Gasly's a
top
better
10.
shout. I can't even remember who I said though.
I don't think Lawson will
Who
be
did
in
you
the top 10
say? You
this week.
said. I think you said Science, and then one of you said.
Yeah, I said Science.
I think
I
you
said
said Science,
Science.
and you said one of the whatever way around. Can't remember.
And then last. Well, that's last finisher, not last.
Like last
as in they
classified,
crashed.
so
yeah.
not DNF.
Okay. I'm going to go with Doohan. Jack
Doing right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's not a bad shout because whilst Alpine have a good car, he's not been very good.
No.
And I
Sure.
think I don't think he... It's hard in Japan because it does just depend on the conditions because
Yeah.
it can be very, very, very rainy.
Well, apparently it's
yeah.
meant to rain
Yeah.
this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, is
And
it?
that's where these, those rookies are going to struggle, like how they did in Australia, that it's just horror. So are they going to, are they going to be ready for it? So I think maybe him. I'll put him there.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm kind of dreading the rain again because I remember 22.
I'm worried I'm going to wake up and the race is going to be red flagged.
I remember last time I got up and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the race. It was red flagged within like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was up for 2 hours and then the race got started again. And all my family were up at that time.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember that red flag went on for ages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was
So
the race with
bad.
the whole the tractor was on the track and all that.
I'm looking
all
forward
that
to
malarkey.
the week after where there's not an early get up for the race.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
there
see.
isn't, is there? No, it's,
No,
it's not.
Bahrain will be around like 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
So-
that's all right. I can handle that.
Yeah. The only thing is I won't be able to watch it live because I'll be at work, so I'm gonna have to catch
I
it
think
afterwards.
I don't know if I can.
So-
Hopefully I can.
I'll find a way. I'll
I'll watch it. at
Sorry,
work.
guys, got to take a break.
Yeah.
Yes,
Got to
important
take a
2 hour one.
2 hour break. Not too long. So yeah, shall we get into some unpopular opinions? Do you have any unpopular opinions that you would like to?
I was trying to think of it.
with the floor.
I was trying to think. I'm trying to think of something. I don't really know.
I have one.
Go on, then.
Okay.
I personally don't think, realistically, that Hamilton will win his 8th World Championship.
Is that unpopular though? I don't really know.
I think it's unpopular amongst British fans.
But he's not in
because
the
they
best
hope.
car.
But I think people, especially at the start of the season, believed that he was gonna, like, this was gonna be Ferrari's year. This was gonna be Hamilton's year.
Yeah.
That it was gonna be better than the Mercedes. I mean, he is doing already better than he was doing last year.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, I think there are too many good young drivers now, or, you know, people that are comfortable with their cars that are World Championship quality.
Yeah.
I don't think it's realistic for him. And I think I think it might be unpopular. So I think
I think
would
start of
love
the season
him,
definitely it was,
Yeah.
but I'm not. I don't know now because Ferrari have been doing meh so far, but he's still getting used to the car. I don't think he's going to win. I mean, if you really think deep down, you're a massive Hamilton fan, obviously, but if you really think, do you think he's going to win one?
When he initially moved to Ferrari, I've never really gave my opinion on his move because I was just so shocked by it and stuff. But the hope is, I think it's more of a hope of an 8th. I don't think we get this season. I think it's be one of the McLarens this year. I think, or if Verstappen can continue to just grind out results,
I don't think he can win it this year. Surely not.
You know, if Weber can produce something, but unless there's an upgrade, I think Ferrari have an upgrade pipeline at some point. I've heard. So, you know, because a lot of upgrades came out running about Miami last year and stuff. So maybe that's and then look at, you know, I think McLaren won a load of upgrades at Miami last year, and then that's when they just had a massive
well,
charge.
they were terrible at the start of last season, and then out of nowhere it was.
It just takes one upgrade.
Yeah. Who do you think's their lead driver though? Because I'm not sure, because at times it's looked like it's Lewis, and times it looks like it's Charles.
I think at the moment they're very much equal.
Because Charles is like the prodigy, but then you've got Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, you can't tell Lewis you're a second driver because he'd be out the door. Within a second. So I think I'd say they're very much equal at the moment, because this thing, they're not going for a title this year. Obviously they were trying to attempt it and stuff like that, but there isn't that real kind of opportunity. I think McLaren probably have more of the issue in terms of who they're going to prioritize out of Norris and Piastri.
I think you know who they will though. I think it will be Norris.
Probably Lando,
Unfortunately, because I think you should just let them fight. They're clearly equal drivers at this point in time, and they're both doing well. Until one of them's a clear favourite, and you need to favour them if there's another team in that fight, let them fight.
Yeah, I feel like they do have to pick. They're not picking, and they're changing it. Like, they're deciding in the middle of the race.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, I feel like it should just be, okay, qualifying. Let's say Norris out-qualifies. That's him. He's the priority in the race. But they end up changing it halfway through, and all it's going to do is anger your drivers. It's going to create a tense dynamic in the team, and then where is that going to leave your drivers? So
I think they were hoping one of them was going to come out and be the clear first driver by winning the race by 20 seconds or something. I think that's what they were probably hoping.
But you don't sign Oscar Piastri in the first place if you're gonna say you're bringing him in knowing the quality of driver he is and the potential he had. You know, he won Formula 3, Formula 2 back to back and things.
He's so good. I love Piastri. I think he's one of the most underrated drivers on the grid.
I think he's very fast. He's definitely has the potential. It's again, it's just whether the McLaren politics allows him to do that.
I think McLaren are one of the teams that have been better at it in the past. So, like, if you look at the amount of times they've had two incredible drivers and they've managed to make it work very well, like they are quite good at it.
I think of the past they haven't been going for titles, and that's very different.
No, but I mean years ago when they have been competing for titles.
Yeah, like dominate, like
when they've dominated the sport before.
I guess there was still trouble with when Lewis and Alonso were teammates at McLaren. There was difficulty there.
But Hamilton and Button, that was great.
The Prost and Senna. Yeah, I guess them too. And even then, still they still had their instances together as well. Jensen,
but all teammates are going to have instances. Like you look at Hamilton and Rosberg, they were good teammates. They got on decently well, I think. But they had a couple of rocky moments,
Belgium
like Spain.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to stay traditional McLaren. I mean, Zach Brown has said it multiple times where it's like, this is how we've always done it. We're not going to change. You know, since day one, McLaren have, had two first drivers. But when you've then got Norris and Piastri and they're fighting, they could be fighting for the championship.
Yeah.
You have to change your ways slightly.
Yeah, maybe.
It's going to offend one of your drivers, but
Yeah.
you've got to do it if you.
Because that's the thing. At the start of the season, sure, Zach Brown or Andrea Stella has sat down with Piastri and Norris and said they've gone like, you are this, you are first driver, you're second driver, or they've gone, yeah, you guys are equal. So you can't then just go, say like 5 races in and then their level points go, actually no, Norris, you're going to be our number one. You can't just do that because
part of me worries Zach Brown is a bit too nice though to do it. Like he doesn't want to pick because he's so nice. He doesn't want to upset anyone. But you have to in this sport. I think
he's very much, of course he is, because he's a CEO. But he's very much just making sure that the team performs well, making sure that I think it's for him. I see it as long as the team gets a 1-2 and the team goes and win the championship, both championships, he's perfectly happy. I don't think he really cares.
He doesn't care who wins it.
Well, as long as they don't crash, that's amazing for them because they can maximise points. The minute that they start, prioritising a driver, they're looking at the drivers' championship rather than the constructors.
And I think that's what they was trying to do last year. So I think a lot of the media was pushing that Lando was in for the championship and stuff like that.
He wasn't.
But I thought I said the whole time,
Max is always going to win.
If Max gets one race win, he's fine. Which he ended up doing in Brazil. What race that was?
They had to prioritise Norris that season though. Like if they'd gone and said Piastri, you're number one driver, and he'd been given all the favour, people would have been like, "What are you doing?"
Oh yeah, of course, because he was the closer driver. Like even with Valtteri and Lewis at Mercedes, Lewis was obviously the first driver, but it was like the first couple of races ago. Okay, you guys can go equal and things like that, and then eventually, okay, Lewis, you're now like 20 points ahead, 30 points. Yeah, we're going to prioritise you now.
Yeah,
But maybe at some point in the season where, say, Norris goes and wins, say, like 5 odd Grand Prix in the next 6 or 7,
and then he has to be the favourite.
He deserves the right to have that priority.
Yeah, I think as you were saying, it's like I think they were expecting it to be that way off the bat. Like
first
race come in,
now they've
Norris is soaring.
They've had one of each now, which is
they're going to have to wait for that moment to then start prioritising.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But back with the Lewis, the thing. I think I'm really unsure. It really depends on what Ferrari can produce, of course.
Yeah.
And for me, he still has the quality and the ability to go and win a world title. There's no doubt about that.
He's the same driver.
Yeah, he's the exact same driver. He's just probably a little bit low on confidence, and he's just been stuck in a Mercedes that hasn't produced him the car that he wants to drive and wants to go and win world championship with.
I don't think he'll do it though. I'd love to see it because seeing a driver win 8 world titles would be. I mean, it would be special to see that, but I don't know if he will.
For me, day by day, it does kind of slowly sink in that I won't see him win an 8th. That's day by day. So that's probably it is sad.
That's really sad, actually.
Like, day by day,
it's starting to sink in.
Because one day Lewis is going to retire, and then I'm just gonna.
What are we gonna do when he retires? When Lewis retires, what's he gonna be like? It's gonna be awful.
Yeah. I actually don't think I'll be able to record an episode. I just don't think I'll be able to.
It's gonna be in morning.
We'll have to go and knock on your door at your house and be like, Reese, you all right?
Yeah, we don't answer. I left the country. I'm moving. But yeah, I think slowly, day by day, I kind of have that feeling of it's not going to happen. But I know, given the opportunity, he's going to absolutely take it.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to win a world title or not? Yes or no? I can't say yes or no. Because
say one.
My heart tells me yes he can, but whether he will or not because he needs that opportunity. You can say that Piastri can win a world championship, Charles Leclerc can win a world championship, but whether they will or not is a different question.
Well, that's why I'm saying realistically. I don't think he can.
Realistically, in the position he's in now, no, which just pains me to say. But
he said it. He said it.
He's come out and said it.
Yeah, no.
Not a real fan.
Yeah,
a real fan.
I'm not a real fan. Yeah.
Can I ask actually, who do you support? Because we all covered who we support last week. Do you support? Because I don't really support a team. Yeah, I know we should have done. It just came to my mind that we haven't done that.
Basically, just go name, team, driver, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. Yeah, I would say at the moment I do really like Piastri. I've tried to always go unbiased. There's too many teams and too many drivers that I like, but at the moment I think Piastri and McLaren. I've always liked McLaren anyway. Like when I was a little girl when I watched it, it was always McLaren or Ferrari. So I think at the moment I would say Piastri.
I think as well the era we grew up in. Like when did you start watching? We both said like 2012 is kind of the era we remember starting. Like that was when McLaren had Hamilton and Button, and you had the whole like cartoon as well with them. Like
I remember that.
Like they were so likable.
Yeah, I think it was always as well. My dad always loved McLaren. That's like how I kind of, I don't know, knew about Formula One. Was it would just be on the TV and my dad would be watching it, and he always loved McLaren.
Yeah.
So for me, that was almost. I think that's how it is with a lot of sports and a lot of teams and things. It's like if your family or your parents support,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
then it's just like, I guess I'll follow them as well. So
Yeah, I have a little bit of soft spot because obviously Lewis was there before, and I remember 2012. My
Also
first
Vodafone
moment, I think my first memory of Hamilton was his crash with Maldonado at Valencia.
I remember that, yeah.
I remember being really annoyed at Maldonado and stuff like that. So I think from there I just got invested with Lewis and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and that his whole story where he was doing poor on his guy that he should be winning more titles and stuff. So I still have a soft spot for McLaren as well. I still have a soft spot for Mercedes as well. I can't go and
That's what I was saying last week though with the British teams. Like, I just want to see the British cars do well because I think that's what I've grown up watching, and
yeah.
like I've always wanted to see the British drivers do well because you have a bit of sense of national pride. Like Hamilton's never been my favourite, but I've always wanted him to do well because he's British, and like it's good for the country. It's good for like it just it's cool to see a British driver win things.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Brexit Matt, this is
No, it's not. I have no better way of phrasing it. That's the problem. Like,
no, I understand because
I
everyone felt that way, especially when like Hamilton won at the British Grand Prix
Yeah.
last year. It was like it was an incredible feeling. Like even if you're not super patriotic, it's like it's nice to see
it's just
that.
because also it makes them so happy to win their home race. Like, that's what I love. Like a British driver winning the Grand Prix, I don't care who it is. Like a British driver winning the British Grand Prix doesn't get better.
It means so much.
Even when Leclerc won at Monaco, like I'm not a Monegasque,
feeling.
but I was so happy for Leclerc. You can just understand how the people of Monaco would have
I
felt.
think you're always gonna want to see your
even
team drivers do well.
Even when Ferrari wins at Monza, even that's kind of like
Yeah.
you
Monumental.
When Piastri was at the Australian Grand Prix, everyone wanted him to win it because it's his home Grand Prix. Like that's more where I'm coming from with this. Like, I just want the British teams to do well because it's nice to see.
Yeah, and even for me, Williams, I like Williams.
I've always loved Williams.
In fact, Williams is I like
such a great story.
I honestly never watched Nigel Mansell because it wasn't alive, but I just hearing stories about Nigel Mansell, I really do like him
and the drivers they've had over the years. Like they've had some of the best talents in the sport.
Oh yeah.
It's sad to see how they are now, especially when like so many older people and fans have been following it since it like first came about. They remember Williams being a top team, and now it's just
they're just almost kind of seen as a little bit
see.
of more like a joke in a way, and stuff. Which is, just look at Williams.
They are on the up now, though. I mean, they've got a good driver pairing,
they've got a really
and their car seems a bit better because they've got points in every race so far. I mean, there's only been 2, but they've got points for both.
But you've got to be there to score the points and stuff. But I say Williams have always had that little bit of a soft spot and stuff. Even have you guys watched the Claire Williams podcast on the High Performance?
Not yet. No.
I haven't watched that yet.
She basically just spoke about like her time for Williams, and I'm not going to spoil it because if you're going to tune into it, but it's very interesting how like she had to try and find like 25 million to fund the team in like for 2020 and stuff like that, and how she sold it, and basically saying like Williams was just literally her life, and she went through the whole team with like I think her mum died and then her dad died and she had to take over from her dad, and just taking all that pressure from Williams. I listened to that, I was thinking, do you know what, like I wish I appreciated Williams more in those times when they were actually struggling. Beforehand.
I think when I say the British teams, I mainly mean Williams and McLaren. They're the two for me that are like the ones that I really want to see do well. I'd love it if Williams could challenge for a title.
Oh, that would be lovely to see.
Someday. Obviously that's not going to happen soon.
Yeah. Well, hopefully James Vowles he's doing wonders with that team, and hopefully he can kind of steer that team into the right direction as what he's been saying. He's always been saying, break the car in 24, break the car in 25, 26 of the year that we're going to go for it. So hopefully that James Vowles can
they're definitely playing the long game.
Definitely.
Even Sainz has said that. He was like, I'm not expecting or thinking I'm going to win loads of races this year, but I'm looking in the next 4 years, 5 years. Where are we going to be? Which
the pedigree they've got, you never know. Yeah. Do you have any unpopular opinions then?
Do I have any
I'm still
opinions?
thinking if I can think of if I can think of any.
I've got a load written down.
What, that are yours or just that you found?
I just found. So
right,
I can just kind of maybe pick through.
I was going to say, you want to say that there's a disclaimer first, or people are going to think you're saying all this crazy stuff.
This is not my opinion.
Yeah, this is not my opinion. It might be in my opinion, but I've just put like a load in.
Yeah. This is my opinion. I'm just going to cut the word not.
What have I got here? So, one here. I prefer the V6 hybrid noise to the V8s and the V10s. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk with our fans wanting to have V10s back. The noise, the sound.
All I say is, have you ever gone to a race? Have you ever gone to a race and you've heard them doing the demos where they drive the old cars around the track?
I went to the British Grand Prix in 2017, and I think the 92 Williams was going around.
Oh wow!
Oh my lord, the sound,
the noise.
Like, I didn't realize it was that car at the time, but I was told later on. I was like, yeah,
I think it was the 06 McLaren I've seen. It was one of the Vodafone ones. I don't know if that's too early. It might have been slightly later.
Yeah.
But they were driving that around Brands Hatch. The noise it makes, like, it's so loud. Like, all I was thinking is, can you imagine 20 cars sounding this loud going around the track? It would break your eardrums. Like, that's the one argument I can see with that. But the sound they make is just so iconic.
Even with that weekend, the Formula 3 and Formula 2 were obviously racing, well, GB2, GB3, what it was then. And I've got a video. I can try and get the video. I can try and put it up. And just the noise, and it doesn't describe the sound of it. I don't know what sort of engines they had.
I think it's V8 back then.
They might have had V8 same as what Formula had, but just the sound of it is just absolutely amazing. But the problem is with I love if I'm with V10s, the sounds of it, but the problem is that car manufacturers now don't develop those engines. They're developing more hybrid systems, V6s or electric cars. So it's all well and good saying, yeah, that's what we want. But the teams want to have V6s because they're developing those engines. Audi are coming in.
The technology is so much better and more advanced for them as well. Like V8s, you can only really do so much with, and then
that's the thing. We've reached the peak.
I can say I think people got the most out of those engines, and now we've swapped.
And that's where we moved into V6s. That's where we moved into V6s now, and that's what the teams and the manufacturers want to develop. You know, I think Audi are coming in to develop V6s because that's what they want to develop, and that's how they're going to sell their car. You know,
I
think
a lot
if
they're
road
wanting
cars
to
are
move
V6s.
forward and do something and move on and do something new, they have to go with this. You can't then be taking steps back.
It's just innovation. That's what it is. You know, we've gone through V12, V10, V8s, V6s. Might be a V4, something like that. I don't know what other engines there is going to be and stuff. But,
so are we saying we agree then or not? I personally disagree because I love the sound. It's so iconic. But I understand the argument purely because if you're going to watch a race live, it must hurt so much your ears hearing those 20 V8s going around.
Well, that's it. The question was noise. Yeah, of course, I prefer the V10s and V8s over them.
I think it's something you've got to experience in person as well. Like you can never, as you said, it can never be done justice watching a video of it or seeing it on the telly. Like you have to experience it in person. But V8s and V10s.
I know someone who was a mechanic when Tyrrell were a team, and he was a mechanic for them. And he used to say that you'd come into Silverstone and you could hear them a mile away, like driving around the track. Before you even got anywhere near, you could hear them going around. Yeah. And you knew what it was.
Yeah. It's sick. You know, I kind of miss those times in the way. Like,
I think that's the thing. I think if more people had experienced them, but maybe for us as well, it's a bit of nostalgia. When we started watching, that's kind of what they had, and now that's what we want to. It's what we want to hear.
Yeah. Another question. I think it's going to be just general topic really. Monaco. Some people want it, some people don't want it.
It has to be on the calendar. It's just a staple now. And the qualifying, I think, is enough for it to be there. It's the best qualifying
Max's
ever.
lap, or was it 23? Was it when he just 3/10 in the last? Oh, what
it's the best qualifying on the grid by far.
Yeah.
I think it's hard because how long do you hold on to the history for? Because I think the main reason why it's there is because of the history. They can't let go. There are so many tracks on the calendar that they can't get rid of just because of the historical element of it. Realistically, if the cars were smaller, it would be a good track. They're not. They're too big for it now. It's not a good race to watch unless you have something crazy happen.
Yeah.
You know? Like a big crash or something like that. It's really not exciting. There's no overtaking. There's nothing. So it is about the qualifying. But I don't think it's ever going to go.
No, not either. No.
But I think maybe at some point we would have to say goodbye to it. Unless they made the cars smaller.
I do agree, like, because the cars are big, but I love that qualifying. Like, you get so excited for it, but then watching the race, you are bored. Like watching it, you're thinking, well, is anything going to happen? Come on, someone do something. And
Yeah.
like the strategy can be interesting, but it's rare now because all the cars can do a one stop, and it's just about when you stop.
I think it's hard because it's the whole weekend as well. Like when you think of Formula One, you think of Monaco, you think of those tracks and those races. That it's the whole experience. It's so exciting just to see who's going and what's happening that weekend.
Yeah.
That I don't think they're ever going to want to let go of it, especially because of the money as well. As we said, Formula One, it is a business. It's it's about money a lot of the time, that they're not going to want to say goodbye
It's
to
a way
it.
for teams to put their sponsors and their name on the shop window at Monaco. Look at all the yachts that are around it. And
Have either of you ever been there? Like in terms of not on a Grand Prix weekend, but
no,
just
I
ever?
want to.
Because I went once. I went for one day, like when I was passing through somewhere. It's such a like weird place to be because you go there and it's just set out. And it's just normal roads, obviously, but there's still all the sponsors around everywhere, like all year round. Because I went in like it was like August or something, so it was nowhere near the Grand Prix. They still have all the sponsors up all year, and that's why I think Monaco as a place would be such a different place without the Grand Prix every year.
Oh, it's centered around it, and when you then have drivers like Charles Leclerc, where it's like he is like the
it's definitely not going whilst he's there.
Yeah.
Whilst he's in F1, that Grand Prix.
And look at that story when he actually won Monaco. Look how much that meant to him, the fans and stuff like that, and taking that sort of feeling away. And for drivers as well, you kind of grow up and you go, I want to win my home Grand Prix, but you also want to win Monaco. That's on the list as well.
It's Monaco and your home. That's the two.
Yeah, and lucky for Leclerc, his home Grand Prix is the Monaco Grand Prix. So,
which is it's quite cool.
He kind of kills two birds with one stone.
But then it's Monza with Ferrari because that's special as well.
Yeah.
So if you drive for Ferrari, that's what you want to win.
Yeah. Another question. This one from my brother actually. He said that Fernando Alonso's Formula 1 career is overrated.
Oh, see, I'd say the opposite.
I'd say
He's such a good driver.
Yeah.
Like he's a really good driver.
I think I said this last week. He should have more than 2 world titles. Like he's good enough to have the same amount as Seville. Like 4.
Don't knock my boy
5.
Vettel. Vettel should have 10.
I think he's as well, his career, if you look back at Alonso's career as well, the amount of he's just been everywhere. He's been in every scandal. He's been in every it's mental, his career. Something that I thought about, and I don't know whether this is my opinion, but I did see someone speak about this.
We can explore it.
Has he overstayed his welcome in Formula One?
Maybe.
Is his time up? How much longer does he stay
That was
in?
kind of the talk when he first came in. Is like, why are we bringing Alonso in when there's so many other young drivers that can have the opportunity?
I think he has proved that he can still do it. Like he's still such a good driver, and because also about his like weird and unique driving style. Like, I still find that so interesting the way he drives the car. Because apparently nobody else has ever driven the car like him.
He's trying to just like that.
Yeah, it's such a weird way of driving it, but he does it so well.
Yeah.
And I think with that as well, it enables him to be really good in like trickier conditions and things like that.
He's confident in his own abilities, and that's why he's still there.
Look at when it was 23 Monaco, when it just started to rain, but everyone was still on like the dries and stuff like that, and Alonso just massively caught up on Verstappen and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think he's not overrated. I think he's perfectly rated. Would you say, or he probably even underrated?
I think he's leaning more towards underrated.
Yeah, so do I.
I think people do appreciate that he, he had his time and he was, he's got his titles and he did well. But I think, straight after that, you've then got Hamilton coming in. You've got him, like everyone speaks about that. Yeah. It's then like it kind of then gets pushed under the rug. Yeah. But just a few years before, it was Alonso.
I think on that point though as well that you said about him being like overstaying his welcome, I think I would agree with that if it wasn't for the fact so many rookies came in this year. Because people say, he's overstayed his welcome, but then we had 4 or 5 rookie drivers join this year alone. But I would have liked to see some of the drivers who got booted out their seats stay in the sport though. Like I would like to see Perez stay.
I like Perez. Bottas.
I want to see Ricciardo make a return, but he wasn't good enough when he came in before, to be fair. But I like Ricciardo. But who doesn't?
Everyone loves Ricciardo. But the thing is, I'll say with Alonso is that for me, if you're still producing good performances, then you're more than welcome to stay as long as you need. I know people said that comment to Stephen Hulkenberg, and he's still he's still
Hulkenberg's
so
always
fast, and
reliable.
he had that year out and stuff. So year or two out, wasn't it? So yes, for me, as long as you're producing performances, I couldn't really care. Even if you're 80 years old and you're still producing great performances, I could not care.
I feel like that is only Alonso would do that. Like he would still
I
be
could
here when he's
definitely
80.
see that. I could definitely see him driving at like 80 years of age. Like even if it's not in Formula One, but he would still be doing like rallying or something like that. He'll be doing like world endurance.
How many more years do you think he could realistically do in F1?
I think for him, I think he could do many years. I still think he has it in
But
him.
how many do you think he would?
For him personally, I think he will see how the car is in 26. And if because he's come back not to be sat in the midfield or struggling to score points. He's come back into Formula One to win a world championship. That's why he left in the first place.
I think he's got a maximum of 3 years left.
Yeah.
Absolute max.
I think 26. If he doesn't have a car in 26, I think he'll be gone. I think he'll be gone.
Yeah.
I think because as I said, he's not going to stick around, not barely scoring points. That's not what he's here for. Hopefully, for his case, Adrian Newey can produce the goods for.
Yeah, I'm excited
for Fernando.
to see
because he's only just recently coming. So this year he won't do anything to do with this year. It'll be all to do with next year. So. And it's nice to see Adrian Newey back in the sport as well. Hopefully, that's the thing. Hopefully, we can see a new team win.
Do you think that they can? Do you think Aston Martin with Adrian Newey can they get
They
a
definitely
championship?
can. He knows how to design a car very well. So, I mean, you'd put them as a team that should be competing next year with the new regulations. No one knows what's going to happen, but they should be one of the teams that's fighting for it. But then Williams have also come out and said they've put all their last 2 years into 2026. McLaren will have obviously been in a lot of work on it. Same with Red Bull and Ferrari.
Yeah,
you just don't know. I think it's going to be really competitive next year,
and even next year as well. I think from what I'm hearing, Mercedes are going to have the best engine next year. That's what I'm hearing. So they're going to still be strong. And obviously, this is the thing with Aston Martin next year. Is that you've got Adrian Newey coming in as well. They've just recently opened up the new factory as well, so they'll probably still like moving bits in and stuff like that. So I think it's be interesting to see. I would like to see a new constructor win. You know, I think if you look at the history of that Aston Martin team as well, how far they came, they were literally Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, then Force India,
which is rest in peace to Andy Jordan. What a legend to the sport, brought so much joy. The thing with him as well, he was still working for Channel 4. Before like he died and stuff like that, he was still part of the team and just
he was
a great man.
Ingrained in
F1.
F1.
I was listening to what's the podcast he does with that he did with David Coulthard. Is it Something Success? Whatever podcast it was. And I was just listening to clips. I'm like, wow, it's just like because I think Webber is probably going to jump in for him now, and it's like it's still weird to hear him not.
It is
but
weird, yeah.
Back to the point with Aston Martin, you look at the history of that team. They, with Force India, they came to in the racing point. Now Aston Martin, they always struggled with money. They always had like one of the smallest budgets on the grid, but yet they were still able to produce podium finishes and things like that. So it'd be nice to see in terms of a history of the team and how they kind of just slowly moved into championship winning side. And definitely Adrian Newey is probably one of the best guys for you to do that, but it's not just Adrian Newey, it's everyone else around it that's going to get you there as well. It's not just a one-man team.
The good thing is that Adrian Newey loves a new set of regulations. Like he thrives off of that pressure. He will be, all over this. And so I think, absolutely, it's more than just a one-man team, but he will bring a lot.
He's the main.
He does what
I was surprised
not many
to see him
others.
leave when he did. I was surprised when he left Red Bull.
Yeah, I think just for him, maybe just saw that he's done everything at Red Bull that he wanted to do. And he just wanted to go and find new challenges as such, I think they even talked at the time with him going to Ferrari as well because
I thought he would move somewhere like that. That's the thing. I thought he'd move to the most prestigious team in F1 history.
I think maybe it's a thing of Adrian Newey wants stuff to done his way and Ferrari wants their own way. So it's a case of Fred Vasseur's probably looked at it and gone, we'll continue doing it the Ferrari way and not disrupt what we're kind of got and what we're doing. And things. So it'd be interesting to see what Aston Martin can do in 26. And again, for me, if you give Alonso a car, he can produce. So you've got a perfect guy there. Whether Stroll is the guy to kind of produce it alongside him. For me, we was kind of saying there's a driver in Lance Stroll. I remember 2020, he was fourth in the World Championship before his crash at Mugello. Like he was good. I was even just reading up on our popular opinions. I was just seeing some comments from 2020, and some people were saying, "Oh, Lance Stroll is underrated. Like he's not not as nearly appreciated as what he should be, maybe and stuff." So that was the talk literally like 5 years ago and stuff. So for me, there's definitely a driver in there.
That
But
was
whether-
one of my unpopular opinions.
Yeah.
Was Lance Stroll is overhated.
Yeah.
I think we all
Because,
agree on that.
Yeah, I don't think he's underrated. Like I don't think he's one of the
Overhated,
best
is that right?
drivers or anything, but I think his problem is that he makes too many mistakes and he doesn't own up to
Shocks.
them. But I think his main problem is that he makes too many mistakes and he doesn't own up to them. And he's
Yeah.
not, he hasn't got the accountability that I think people
Yeah.
would respect him a little bit more if he owed up to the
I
mistakes
think it's
that he makes.
consistency as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's the thing with the mistakes. Like he does crash more than other drivers, and he DNFs quite a lot. But when he drives, he is quite consistent. Like I would say, Alonso's better than him, obviously,
Yeah,
but he does sometimes manage to keep up with him. He has that car where you'd expect it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not like he's miles off the pace. Like if he was purely a pay driver, like people say he is, and he's only in the team because of his dad, he'd be in last place by 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But he clearly has some sort of
Something.
quality to be good enough to get into that team.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Lawrence. I think he won Formula GB3 years as it was before. There's clearly a driver in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we win, I don't think remember winning the world title.
Oh
but
no, I don't
he
think he's
was-
that quality,
no.
but he's not like
People
bottom
hate on him
5
too
worst
much,
drivers on the
I
grid.
think.
Yeah, and I think we also with Lance Stroll, he's had a great start to the season. He's scored points in both races so far. He's done pretty well.
He's consistently
Um,
mid-table, I'd say.
Yeah. I think just having that consistency to them go on and improve. Even you're not gonna like this, but I thought that last season was Seb Vettel. I don't think he was that far off Seb Vettel that year.
He wasn't,
Aston
no,
Martin.
I
He wasn't
can
too
admit
far
that,
off. Like he was kind of Seb would finish 9th and then not.
To me,
10th,
Lance Stroll's kind of like the Crystal Palace of F1. Like he's kind of always 12th.
He's
Like,
just
he'll be there, and
He's just
he won't be last, and he won't be first, but he'll
Yeah.
be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
I think the
like
big
that.
thing with Lance Stroll as well is he is like a gold mine for memes, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a gold mine
Yeah.
to like, that's why I don't think many people. I think a lot of people do hate him, but I don't think as many people hate him as what we think.
Yeah.
I think it's just people just he's an
Banter.
easy target.
No, yeah.
I think it's kind of known. People say, "Oh, he's actually not that bad,"
Mm.
but then it's kind of a joke that he's really, really
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
in a way.
Another question on here was about paid drivers and stuff, and that's got sort of stigma. We shouldn't be using the term paid drivers as such.
Well,
What are your guys' thoughts?
Technically, all of
on
them are paid drivers.
That's the
if
thing.
you look
That's
at it,
that's
because
that's
they've all had to
my
pay a lot of
point.
money
Yeah.
to get into the sport, but I don't think it really is a massive, as massive a thing as people say. Like, there's not that many on the current grid. Like,
all these
But
drivers,
like in comparison to like what people make the concept out to be, there's no one's in that grid purely because they've paid more than anyone else. They're in that grid because of quality. They've all paid a lot of money to be there, but that doesn't make you a pay driver.
I think a lot of them they end up sticking around or their teams keep them on because, as we said, like things like sponsors and things like that. So you maybe look at drivers like Zhou or Stroll, and maybe they, room could be made for other drivers, but they're held there because they bring sponsors in, they bring money in. So that's where I think maybe people think that, because it's like, well, why are you still here if you aren't producing those results? But I don't think it all comes down to that, because
No,
as you said, if people were just purely rubbish, they wouldn't stand a chance. It's such a cutthroat sport.
Yeah.
So you have to have something to be in there.
You have to have money to be there in the first place, but you also have to have skill,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're not going to get kept on by a team. So for me, there's not really such thing as a pay driver, because if you want to use that term, all of them are pay drivers, because they've all paid a lot of money to get into the sport. But then they're all there because they're good enough, though.
Yeah, exactly. No, I do agree with that kind of term of paid drivers. It's like, because again, like you look at parts like Niki Lauda, he basically bought his seat. Schumacher bought his seat in the first place, and they're
You have to,
multiple
though,
world
kind of.
champions. That's just how the sport is. That's just how it works as such. So
It's the nature of motorsport, I'd say. Like, there's just so much money in it, but you have to pay money to get there.
yeah, and or of course, if like Ocon and Hamilton, they weren't really rich growing up and stuff. They just did well and got picked up by teams, and then they got their opportunities that way. That's kind of a little bit of luck in that way and stuff, and just being at the right place at the right time along with that as well. Because we were saying earlier as well about with you want to be in that right academy as well. You need to make sure that you're part of a team. You need to make sure you're part of a Ferrari and make sure you're part of Red Bull to give yourself that opportunity as well, because they can help pay for your seat as well. That's how Lewis was helped, because he was backed by McLaren, and they helped pay for his seats into GP3, Formula 2 and stuff like that. So, let's have a look at any other questions. I want to hear is like Piastri better than Norris. We kind of touched on that a little bit.
I'd say they're even at the moment. I don't really know.
I would still edge Norris over Piastri just because I think he has that experience and just
I think that's the
faster,
thing. But Piastri is so good. Like he's such a quick driver. I'd say he's one of the quicker ones on the grid.
Yeah,
you've got to think comparatively as well. I mean, Piastri hasn't been in it as long as Norris has, and he came in. I mean, you saw his like debut season was just. It was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so good.
Whereas you look back at maybe Norris's earlier years. It's taken him a while to get to where he is, as well as the car, because it's taken the car.
Was worse than, to be fair, but
so it is it's a multitude of reasons, but I think for Piastri to come in and do what he's done, it is incredible. But whether he's better than Norris, I mean, it's hard because I think he's still making those mistakes. You look at the recent races where where they both went off the track, Piastri couldn't bring it back, Norris could.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that where maybe Norris just takes it over Piastri.
I think it's just experience, really, isn't it? That's the thing. Like, I think otherwise, pace-wise, they're probably basically the same.
Yeah.
And that's why McLaren are having such a hard choice with choosing their first driver.
I think it'd be interesting, a video down the line, we can do like our top, say, 20 or top 10 drivers on the grid, in our opinions. I think that'd be a good video idea at some point. But yeah, another question here. We've had discussion before in the sport anyway about points, and should points go further down from 10th down to like 12th and stuff like that. Just a question here. Should we overhaul the point system and have them
works,
have
to
them
be
different?
honest. Like I quite like it. I mean, maybe that's just because it's what I'm used to, but I don't really know how they would change it.
So I think the idea would be to have the points go down to 12th instead of 10th.
And just make the points more.
Yeah, they did speak about that. I think it was going to be... I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know whether it was completely stopped, but they did actually speak about it coming in. But
I remember, I think Franz Toss, when he was at Toro, so after whether the team was... I think he was kind of he was someone that was kind of really wanting that. I reckon Haas was probably wanting that as well. A lot of the lower teams wanted that extra 2 points in those and stuff. But I look at it in a way is that because you look at it in the past, top 6 were the points, and now it's gone down to 10.
I like it being 10th though, because I feel like as well with qualifying, it makes such a big thing. Like when you get to Q3, and you've got the 10 drivers left. You get excited because you're like, we're starting in the points.
Yeah.
Whereas if it drops down to 12th, you're kind of like, I've qualified 11th, but that doesn't matter because it means I'm starting in a points place.
And I also think it ruins, like, for me, like, it should motivate you to build a better car.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it should
Rather than making it easier, making you get... Because also it means the meaning of points is less.
Exactly.
Like, think about how excited people were when Williams got a double points finish in the second race of the season this year.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been so exciting if they'd been able to get points every week.
Yeah, because they scored probably 11th or 12th a couple of times before. That exactly won't be too special. I was going to bring up Jules Bianchi in Monaco when he scored the first ever points for that Marussia team. Look how great that was. But if, say, that point system was down to 12th or something like that, he's probably got there before and it's just not as special, So it's more rewarding, I think, in that way.
But then do those, bottom teams need... Because at the end of the day, it will not affect... those top teams, because all it's really going to do is it's going to be better for those bottom teams in terms of them getting points. You're seeing teams finish a season with 1 point or no points at all. So it will help them. Do they maybe need that helping hand rather than it being like the motivation? Do they maybe need that extra help? That's what I'm thinking of it being a possibility, because they might need it. Because
I think the whole talk was that, we're getting the same teams in the top 10 and stuff. But you look at Haas in points, Sauber in the points the other week, Williams, like RB, like all these teams are now scoring points and stuff. Maybe that's why that kind of conversation's maybe like moved away. But maybe when we go into the next set of regulations in 26, maybe that conversation might be brought up again, because you can only imagine the gap being not as close as it is now.
The reason as well might be the new team, because you're going to have 2 more cars on the grid. Do you then need 1 or 2 extra point spots because there's so many cars? Because think, if there was 28 drivers on the grid and only 10 got points, that would seem quite unfair. I think you'd have to make it 14 drivers at that point. But I kind of think it needs to be at least half the drivers can get points in a race.
I think that seems the most fair of it being half, because it's going to be, as you said, more exciting as well. It makes it more, if the driver they finish 20th, or they qualify 20th, and then, they're working that whole race to get up to 10th rather than 12th or 15th, or, there are people saying that they want the whole grid to get points. If you complete the race, you should get a point. Yeah. But it's like, why are you getting a point? Why are you getting a point just for finishing the race?
You've done your job.
Well done, gold star.
Yeah. Like, whereas I feel like it being the top 10, it makes the most sense. You have something to strive for. You have something to aim for.
You said about Cadillac. I want to get all your thoughts. Who do you guys think will be in that seat? I know it's early days, of course, but who right as of now, who do we think is going to get those?
I'm trying to think whether to go rogue or whether to go for someone who actually could be.
I'm sure later on down the line we'll come back to this conversation.
There's no clue at the moment. No one knows. I'm going to say one of them could be Magnussen, because he has a history with Haas. Because he's done it with an American team before, they might choose him.
Possibly. Obviously, he's now over BMW and World Endurance and stuff. So that's the thing. Has
he moved on?
Yeah. So
he might have moved on. I don't know.
Well, he did. I think he went off to that sort of World Endurance before, and then he came back. So he could do it again. But
and then maybe someone like Bottas as well. Maybe.
I think Bottas is a solid choice. He should.
I think it could be him. I'd like to see him back in the sport at least.
I would like to see Bottas, because as well, I think he was, I think, underrated at Mercedes, and I think he was pushed aside because he was next to Hamilton. Yeah. But he did a lot at that team, and now he's just like, where is he? What's he doing? So it's hard to. I think he does deserve a spot. If the opportunity was there, I think he would take it.
Well, you see Max's teammates, how hard they found it. Bottas was incredible. He did so many good. I think how many good performances there were where he held off drivers from Lewis, and he gave him an 8-second gap to get some breathing space.
I remember when they were Hamilton and Bottas were teammates. There were weekends where Bottas was literally faster than Lewis, and there was even discussion that should Bottas should they prioritize Bottas over Hamilton, or should they be on equal? I think it just shows how good Bottas was when you look at, say, like Perez, for example. But who you thinking for the Cadillac seat early on?
Well, I don't think many old drivers will be coming back. Like, I don't think we'll be seeing. I mean, I know that there were talks of Ricciardo, and I know he's sort of cut ties with them now. So I don't think it will be. But I do think Magnussen is a good shout. I think Bottas is a good shout. I think it just depends. If they're going to go for experience, that's where I think they might look at someone like Sergio Perez. Yeah. And they might want to do something where they have a rookie and an experienced driver.
Yeah. Haas did that when they came in, didn't they? Had Gutierrez and Grosjean. That does make sense.
So they could do Perez, and then, if Doohan loses his seat, which I know is a big topic of discussion, will he then maybe be brought in by them?
Colapinto's hanging around a little bit, or does it go to Alpine at some point?
Yeah. I mean, so many eyes are on Colapinto.
Bring back Logan Sargent.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Will we see a return of Latifi? Who knows?
Latifi. Isn't Latifi studying at university or something like that? I swear. Like he's doing I think he's doing something in business or something like that. Fair play to him. Yeah. Oh, wow. So yeah. So who are you saying? Knocking two drivers.
Okay, I'm gonna go Sergio Perez and Jack Doohan.
Okay. Nice. What about you?
I'm gonna go with Perez and Guan Yu Zhou, because
I like that.
With Guan Yu Zhou, the team principal for Cadillac is his manager.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And that guy used to be the team principal at Manor as well. I think he used to be like CEO, team principal. So with that, yeah, mate, you might have cracked it there. Because even like Toto Wolff manages Valtteri Bottas, and that's how we kind of got him into that.
So you're going to look incredibly knowledgeable now.
Yeah, look at me, big brain. But no, I think it'd be, especially with Joe sponsors, Perez sponsors. But anyway, I'd like to see an American driver, but who?
Yeah, there aren't that many now, I think it's the ones that are then really good. They're not going to be going. They might not want to take that risk where they're gonna go to a well-known team. Yeah,
because the only place you can kind of look at is IndyCar, but how well would they be able to replicate their performances over in IndyCar over to Formula One? That's the one. You can do a load of testing and stuff like that, but it's not. this, you need to actually do it in actual
Yeah.
races and things like that. But I think that's going to round off the podcast here. It's been a great talk. We didn't really go through much unpopular opinions, but I think we just kind of had a
Yeah,
general,
we had a good chat.
general nice
Nice.
chat. It's always nice. So of course, make sure you subscribe to the Blue Podcast Network, like the video, share, all that good stuff. Follow the TikTok. We do a load of lives and stuff like that. We might even do live Formula 1 races and stuff like that, watch-alongs and what else and stuff like that. Make sure you check out Holly. Her stuff will be down in the description down below. And thank you guys for watching. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time
Yeah,
Yeah.
for another episode. And peace.